and welcome to this lecture. This lecture will talk about virtualization and Vagrant. So what is virtualization? Virtualization is a concept where you can run multiple operating systems in a single piece of hardware. It means, for example, you may have only one laptop, but you can run two operating systems. Giving it to your perspective, right now most people may have a Windows PC or a Mac PC, right? Mac OS. So in that case, in your laptop currently actually it is running only one operating system. For example, if you're running a Mac operating system, you cannot install a Windows application into it. You usually look to find for a Mac version of it. It is very similar to having mobile phone, you have a iOS or Android. If you have a iOS, you cannot actually install applications which are written for Android. You have to find an application which was actually written for iOS. Similarly, in a computer world like a PC or a Mac world also, you have a similar constraints. Applications which are written for Windows, they can only run on Windows. Applications which are run for Linux, they can only run for Linux and same. So how to do if assume you have a one operating system and now you want to run some special application which only runs on Linux. In that kind of scenario, the traditional approach used to be you create a dual boot system. In that you basically have two operating system running on that, but the disadvantage of doing is that you cannot run two operating system at the same time in the same hardware. And this problem is actually solved by virtualization. Virtualization, what lets you do, it lets you install an emulator or known as a hypervisor, which what it does, it hides the real hardware from the operating system and it mimics the operating system hardware for you. So in practice, what you can do is, even though you have a one Windows machine, you can install a hypervisor like VirtualBox will be doing this, and after doing that you will be able to install a Linux on top of it, or a Mac, or even a Windows on top of it. And if your hardware allows, maybe you have a lot of CPU and RAM in your laptop or desktop, you can install as many as you want. So this makes it a very powerful application for this use case, so that you can actually, in a single instance of laptop, you can run multiple guest machine. These are called guest machine, and which is running on the laptop, it is called the host machine. So virtual machines are called guest machines, and virtual machine emulator like a hardware or a software is a visible to guest. So the virtual machine which is running on that, it thinks that it is running on a hardware, but actually it is running on the emulator, which is called hypervisor. And so if I give a quick perspective how actually virtualization work, you can see from this diagram. If I assume this whole blue box as your PC or a laptop, in that you have an infrastructure like your CPU, RAM. You probably have one CPU, two core, whatever, but eventually you have actually one CPU, which is a one socket, and you may have a multiple threads, which are called vCores or cores, and you have a RAM. So in all practical purpose, you will only have one operating system. But if you install a special application called Virtual Hypervisor, like a virtual box, you can actually install multiple operating system on that. And actually you can have one Linux, one Mac, and one Windows all running at the same time, while your host machine Windows is still running and fully functional. So it gives you a very good flexibility in terms of doing a lot of things. And you might be thinking, why do I need that? Actually, if you start your journey as a developer or DevOps, most cases you will be dealing with multiple operating system. For example, your laptop PC may be a MacBook or a Windows PC, but when you are connecting to server, you want to test something on that, they are mostly Linux based system in the cloud. So how do you test your code? So best way to test your code is actually you can create your own development environment in your PC, and so that you can test your code in a Linux, and when something goes well, everything you can actually deploy the code. So it makes it a very powerful, and it increases your productivity dramatically. And please note, the very older hardware may or may not support this, but pretty much after I will say 2008 or 10, any Intel hardware, they have inbuilt virtualization support. So I will say 90% of the time, you will see your PC, laptop, they all have virtualization support by AMD or Intel. Because without that hardware support, you will be able to install virtual machine, but it will run super slow. But if you are able to have that enable, your PC will, like virtual PC will run as fast as if it is running on a real hardware. So some of the advantages of virtualization, you will always have a better segregation of application. What do I mean by that? Assume you have an app, one app, like you're running multiple app, right? And you can run actually same version of app or multiple instance on a different guest virtual machine. And assume if your particular app, say assume that got compromised, it got some kind of virus or something happened, or maybe it was crashing bug. So what happens is that whatever problem happened on that particular virtual machine, it will stay limited to that. It will not be contiguous, like whatever virus or something caught this one will be completely immune to that problem. If there is a library corruption on this will be completely immune to that. In that way, what enables you to that, if something goes wrong, your damage is limited, it doesn't go across the system. Assume if you're running in your laptop, and assume you are using the word processor or maybe PowerPoint, and your PowerPoint got corrupt. So there is no way you can recover. Only way you can recover, actually, you will reinstall the PowerPoint. But this is a very okay say case if you're having a like a day-to-day, like our case. But in a production system, if something goes really bad, you really don't have a lot of time to actually fix it. We have to come with a quick solution. Or maybe you cannot even afford to do that. Assume by mistake, while PowerPoint got corrupted, it also corrupted Word also. So now your two applications are dead. But if you had a virtual machine, in one virtual machine you had a PowerPoint, another virtual machine you had a Word. If the PowerPoint got corrupted, your Word will still remain intact. So that is a very good from the stability perspective and security perspective, and that's why a lot of people love virtualization and virtual boxes. Second is the hypervisor abstract the hardware from VM. So basically your hardware may be, for example, right now my PC say have a 8 cores. Okay. And if I am running a Windows, my Windows will actually use all the system. It will use the 8 cores and it will use the all memory. What if I'm running very small application? What I can do is in the hypervisor, when I'm installing the virtual machine, I can set up, okay, this particular VM, because it is a very lightweight, I will only use, say, maybe one core or two cores. I will maybe using 1 GB of RAM, not the 8 GB of RAM. In that way, you can actually limit how much which one will use. So that is a very good feature, right? From performance perspective, you're not in a danger that one application it's just hogging the CPU and it's not giving anything to anybody else. So this way you can actually have another level of control from the hypervisor software. Easy migration for legacy application. Something is running on the legacy applications, you can pretty much do a lot of lift and shift, which is done a lot in the cloud migration specifically for legacy application. Better security, as I already explained. So there are type of hypervisor. So one is a para virtualization, which are like a software emulator, not good for production, and this is mostly deprecated in current world. We are talking about mostly the hardware virtualization, which is pretty much by default enabled in everywhere. In certain cases, older PC, you may have to enable this one, and you go to the advanced setting and you can enable like that. So you have to go to the boot to your BIOS, maybe pressing F2 or something, go to the BIOS and you can configure it. So, what are hypervisor? Hypervisor are the basically virtualization software which allows you to run multiple operating system. Popular hypervisors are your Microsoft Hyper-V, Linux KVM, Linux Zen, and Oracle VirtualBox. And in this one, we will be talking about Oracle VirtualBox. We'll be installing it, setting up, and we'll also be talking about a new application called Vagrant. So VirtualBox looks like this. You can actually install it pretty easily, and you can install any number of operating system, and it's a very nice GUI based application. You can see a lot of things on that. In order to install, you can go to this link virtualbox.org and go ahead and download and install the application. So right now the latest VirtualBox is a 6, but equally the 5 is equally stable. Is up to you. You can install any of this and it is simple. In Windows you can just next 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 and you'll be good with it. And similarly you can install for Linux, you can install for Mac. It just works. Installation is pretty smooth. So VirtualBox setup and configuration. So any OS machine can be downloaded, installed on a VirtualBox. For example, a Windows host machine can be used to install a Linux guest machine. So for example, if you want to install a CentOS into your existing VirtualBox, you have to install the ISO image, which is the basically installation media or CD, and you will installing as if you are actually installing on the real hardware. So you click on the button called new and you basically type the name. The moment you type Linux, it automatically picks up the architecture and also suggests you, and then you press next next and you go through the whole installation process. After that, once you have installed, you can actually click on that box and you can use it like any other operating system. If you have installed another Windows, it will give you a feeling like as if you're using a RDP or remote desktop. So VirtualBox, of course, VirtualBox is good. There is a good, but there is a something like something is limiting in that. If you go in this traditional style, you will be installing a VirtualBox, installing a Linux, including downloading and installing. It could take up to an hour, actually, believe me, because depending upon your internet speed, how much you will download, plus installing a Linux, it will take almost 20 minutes because it has to write everything. Basically, you're writing the whole image and doing this thing, and it is actually time consuming. And in today's world, we are looking for extremely fast setup, and especially if you are a developer, you don't have actually time, you just want to get it fast. For that one, there is an amazing tool called Vagrant. Vagrant is a very nice tool. I love this company, HashiCorp, and they make amazing DevOps tool and for developers. So Vagrant, what it is basically a wrapper which is running on top of VirtualBox, and it allows you very quick and easy spin up of any virtual machine. For example, as I said, for a VirtualBox based system, it may take up to an hour or something to actually spin up a virtual machine, maybe a Linux one, even with the minimal install. With Vagrant, maybe in 10 minutes you can spin up. That's it. It is so fast and so convenient, and you have to type only few commands. So what is Vagrant? I just love this tool. A Vagrant is a wrapper around various hypervisor. And by the way, Vagrant not only works in VirtualBox, it works across a lot of different kind of hypervisor. It works with VMware, it works with KVM, you name it. It allows you to quickly instantiate OS instance by cloning a pre-built image from cloud. What does it mean that? So if you install in a traditional way, you actually get the disk and you go through the real installation. You set up the disk, you set up user. It takes a lot of time. What if I give you a ready-made OS image that you just download? Is this, I mean, giving you another example, like making a pizza, right? So one option is that you buy the dough, you buy everything, put in the oven, and you're cooking the pizza. That is like installing an operating system. But what if I give you a dominoes effect? Like you call someone and someone delivers you a ready-made pizza. So Vagrant is the pizza delivery system which gives you a ready-made operating system pre-cooked. You just have to eat it. It means in this case you just have to simply use it. No installation time, fast downloading, compress and pre-built images. And how Vagrant works. Before we go into the lab, I just want to touch base on how it exactly works. So basically, pretty much what all operating system images are called boxes in Vagrant. So for example, in this example, we will be using Ubuntu Trustee 64, and that is a base box sitting on somewhere in the cloud. And when you go to the command line, of course, after installing Vagrant, you just type Vagrant init. Vagrant init Ubuntu slash Trustee 64. The moment you do that, it creates a Vagrant file. What is a Vagrant file? Vagrant file has all information about that particular guest operating system. So anything you want to change it tomorrow, you don't have to go to the GUI and click here and there. You have to change in the file. Now you say, hey, changing a GUI is very user friendly. Why you are asking me to go to the file? But it is a different perspective. From a developer standpoint, you're not looking for a GUI thing to do click click. You are looking for automation, specifically for for DevOps professional. You're looking for automation. Automation means you're looking for a file or a code that you can modify to so that you can do on a scale. Say maybe one Vagrant file, multiple Vagrant file. So you can have a complete information about that operating system in a file. So that is a kind of a, I will say, you begin to start using infrastructure as code. It means your infrastructure, your operating system, you're defining in a file. So that is called vagrant file. Once you learn more about these things, also you go to the Docker, you see Docker also has a Docker file which defines the state of the container. Similarly, the vagrant file defines the state of the guest operating system. Now it takes the input. So Vagrant software, it reads the Vagrant file and it finds all fancy information you will see in the lab. And then it looks for the either some provisioners. So these images which are already built over there, they use a provisioner. And you don't have to do at this time. You don't have to write an Ansible or Puppet script. It's already done. When you actually download, when you spin up it, you will see the chef agent, Puppet agents are running. Basically, they're already pre-cooked it. And based on that, they have a multiple providers like VirtualBox images, VMware, KVM. So based on that, this is how it does. So how the workflow works, you download from the internet and basically it downloads the image and then it runs the provisioning, like setting up IP address and everything from your local DHCP so that you can immediately use it. And plus it also sets up your private SSH key, so you don't have to worry about setting up the password and everything. It just pre-cooked in a classic way. It just delivers the pizza. You just have to open it and eat it. It's so good. So installing Vagrant, you just go and type Vagrant up. That's it, and you're good to go. You just download a 64-bit Windows and Mac or anything. Mac is much easier setup. Windows is also pretty easy setup. And so if you want to look for some sample Vagrant file, you can go to the GitHub repository or GitHub repository at bcloudready/vagrant.git, and you can see there is a hello world Vagrant that. So there are multiple ways to do actually Vagrant. One option is that you just do Vagrant init and give the operating system name like Ubuntu/trusty, CentOS/7. That is one way. But if you have already pre-configured Vagrant file, that is also a very powerful feature, because in ideal world, of course, you will, for playing around, you will do the Vagrant in it. But any developer or any DevOps person, what they do usually, first time they build their Vagrant image, maybe change in the configuration file, and that becomes their gold image. And assume you change a job, maybe you buy a new laptop, and now you want to spin up your own development environment again. Do you want to go through the whole hassle again? Believe me, setting up a developer PC sometimes it takes days. So you don't want to waste time on that. So instead, what you can do is you can save your Vagrant file somewhere, and in the new laptop, you just download that Vagrant file, and you on the same folder. You have to be in the same folder where the Vagrant file is. Just type Vagrant up, and it will just automatically spin up like a magic. It is that good. It's like Vagrant file is just like your frozen pizza. You buy and you just put in the microwave and boom, it's up and running. So that is the beauty of it working. So you can see, you can connect to the box. So once you do the Vagrant up, then basically it brings it up, and then if you want to connect to it, you have to type Vagrant SSH. It is as simple, and you are inside the Linux box. We will be setting up a developer or DevOps PC using these three tools. These tools are pretty much hottest in the market and everybody is using. Reason is simple, they make your life much easier. So three things you need to do: that you have to install VS Code. You can go to this URL and download and install it. Installation is pretty straightforward, just next. And VirtualBox, you already installed it, and then you install Vagrant. You already done it. If you haven't done it, you can just basically click on that link, and in Windows, Mac, it's pretty straightforward to install it. And what we're going to do is that to set up the PC, you need to actually have all these tools working in a connected way so that you can actually use the actually leverage the virtual machine environment. So to do that, what you need to do is that how we will be setting up. On Windows 10, we will install Visual Studio Code, and then we will install Oracle VirtualBox, and then we will install Vagrant. So we install these three applications, and now what we do is, using Vagrant, we will be installing a Linux image, Ubuntu image. Again, we will not be actually installing it, we will be just downloading a VBox or a VirtualBox box from a Vagrant cloud, and it will be downloaded based on your internet speed. It could be 10 minutes, could take an hour. And in that Linux box, what we'll do, we will install certain packages like kernel packages so that we can mount a Windows directory into Linux. You have to visualize in a different way, because even though the Linux that is you will be installing, it is running on your own PC, but they are logically different. It is a different operating system. You cannot actually directly access a Windows file from Linux and Linux file to Windows. In order to access that, you have to basically mount it. What is mounting? It is basically creating an entry. It's like if you want to go to someone else's house, you need to have a door and you need to have a key, right? You open the door, this is how you enter. Similarly, when you are sitting on a one operating system, you want to go to another operating system, or if you want to access to any other operating system over the network, you have to mount it. So it could be a network mount, it could be a device mount. There are so many kinds of mount. In this case, what we will be doing, we are doing a VBox mount. It means it is a special kind of file system created by VirtualBox. What it does, it allows you very easily mount a Windows folder into Linux. And why, you will say, why am I doing that? The reason is simple, so that I can do all my code editing with a comfort and luxury of Windows graphical user interface and amazing Visual Studio editor. But at the same time, because I may be a DevOps, because I'm a DevOps or a developer, maybe I need to work everything, whatever I'm running on production, everything is running on Linux. So while I'm coding, I need to also test it. So if you want to test it, this I need to test it on a Linux environment. How do I get my Linux environment? I do this virtualized Linux environment. So this, you will first, it may take a little while, but you will get used to it pretty easily. That you do something on your Windows box, and then basically you execute the code on Linux. One example, say if you are writing Ansible playbooks, or you can write the playbooks on the Windows, and when you have to run it, you simply run it from your Linux, which is running on top of VirtualBox. And that makes your life much easier. And of course, now a lot of people are doing containerized development. This is like a next level of virtualization. But for most practical purpose, this setup works really well. But sometimes you may end up having some issues, especially if you're doing in the Windows side. So the video that we have tutorial will cover from the Windows 10 perspective, and I've also covered some of the common problem that you might face. So let's jump to the lab. Hello and welcome to this video. And this video will talk about how to set up your developer laptop. Before you begin, you must install these three applications: VS Code, VirtualBox, and Vagrant. And please remember to reboot your Windows 10 PC. So here is the setup. Setup will be, we will be installing Visual Studio Code on Windows, and we'll be installing Linux on top of VirtualBox. And we will be sharing the file between these two operating systems, and any changes that we do on the VS Code, that will be immediately available on Linux. In that way, we can get the best of both worlds. Basically, we can modify the code on VS Code. At the same time, we can do all application on the Linux side. Let's begin. So before beginning, let's do one thing. Create a folder in your home directory in your desktop. So I'll create a folder called Vagrant, and then I'll open this particular folder from my VS Code. And again repeat, make sure you have installed all these applications and also rebooted the box. And now I'll try to find this folder. If I go to open folder and I browse through, go to desktop and click that Vagrant, and I open it. So now basically how VS Code works, it opens the whole folder for you. And now next thing we're going to do is open the terminal in VS Code. So this opens a partial terminal, and because we will be using Vagrant to install a Ubuntu in our Windows box, so all we need to do is just type Vagrant init ubuntu/trusty64. This is the one of the release of Ubuntu. And the moment I do this, what it does is basically creates a file called Vagrant file in the current folder. And you can see this file actually has a host lot of information about the operating system. See, it tells you which box is going to download, and it has all information like which port to forward, which drive to mount, and all this thing. And also you can do a lot of things with this. And next thing you need to do is you need to do type Vagrant up, and that's it. You don't have to download the ISO image, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to pretty much anything. What Vagrant does is it already has a pre-built VM images on the cloud, and when you do Vagrant up, it tries to find the local image in your folder. If you don't find it, downloads it, and based on your internet speed it could take some time. This is a very old PC I'm using with the old Wi-Fi driver, so it's going to take a while. But if you have a newer computer like in my Mac, it pretty much downloads in a couple of minutes. So here we are. So it has been downloaded and everything is fine. So next thing what we need to do is we have to make sure that we are able to mount a Windows folder into the Linux box. So before we do that, we have to do certain configuration changes. So I'm just verifying that everything is fine, there is no error or anything like that. And actually see is actually has mounted the Vagrant file, but anyways we will try it again to make sure, because sometimes people have hard time mounting it, and I had the same time. But this one, see, in this one it worked, and I'm logging in. In order to log into the Linux box, you just have to type Vagrant SSH, and yeah, that's it. So our Linux is up and running. Next thing I want to make sure is that I'm able to mount my drive. In order to mount it, you have to make sure that you have installed certain packages in the Linux box. How do you install it? You have to mount that VS guest additional ISO, and you can see I'm getting an error here, and this error a lot of people might see. So the trick to fix that error is that first of all you have to shut down the box. Before that, the reason is that we have to add a additional storage. Like for example, you see here there is no CD drive here, so I have to add it. So how to add it? Only way to do is that I have to shut down the box. So to shut down the virtual box, you can do either, you can do like you can type a actually shut down on the Linux prompt, or using Vagrant you can type Vagrant halt. It basically shut down that particular virtual machine. And right now I'm sitting on Windows. You can see from the prompt, you can easily figure out that whether I'm sitting on Windows or Linux. In Linux you will see something like a hash prompt, and in Windows you will see C drive user owner desktop. So now my VM is shut down. So now I can go ahead and add a CD drive on that. So in order to add that, I have to go to the VirtualBox again, click on that machine settings, then I go to storage and I click on the plus sign. So you can see it automatically shows me the VBox guest addition. I just click on that. So it basically logically what it's doing, it is inserting a CD drive into your VM. And now I need to restart. I can start it from VirtualBox, or I can start from Vagrant. I can just do a Vagrant up, and this time when I do up, it's not going to download. It will see, okay, this image is already here, I don't need to download. It will simply start the box, and based on how configuration of hardware configuration of your PC, if it is a fast PC or a little bit older, it may take a while to start, and usually it doesn't take too much, because these Linux boxes that we are running, they are very miniaturized. Like they don't have any fancy GUI application. This is complete plain command line, and we are using this only for development purpose. So we want to have a lower footprint, and in that way you can see actually it is automatically trying to connect using a user called Vagrant and using a private key method. And so while it's booting, it may take a while to do that. Let's just open the basically web browser, because we may have to we need to find some instruction to how to install that VirtualBox guest. So I just type on Google that VirtualBox guest additionals Ubuntu. If I type that, I get a bunch of URLs. I usually prefer the third URL. This is like more you can do like a copy paste style of instruction in this one. So in that one it has a pretty detailed article. It takes what to do, and here what it tells me to install some packages into Ubuntu box. So what I need to do is I'll just copy paste it. Of course here my Vagrant box is up. I need to do Vagrant SSH. I'm inside the Linux. You can see how the prompt change immediately. and yeah, this PC is a little slow, but in a newer PC, if you have, it is just like pretty fast. So see, right now we are up. It shows Vagrant Ubuntu, and I just copy pasted the command apt-get update. So it is downloading all the packages here. Basically, apt-get update in Ubuntu, what it does, it updates all repository links and make sure everything is up to date. And it's mostly so it's gonna take some time because of course my internet is a bit slow. It's updating the package list, and since then basically you have to pretty much copy paste it. So this is what it does eventually. It is installing certain kernel packages, those are needed to do the mount. So what mount does is, here I am installing some kernel packages. So mounting means you are mounting a Windows folder into Linux, and the Linux is running inside a Windows. So you have to use a special type of file system which is called VBox, VirtualBox file system. So what it does, VirtualBox makes it available for you, but in order to utilize that, you have to install that particular kernel driver. It's very similar to, like, if you want to use a new Wi-Fi card in your Windows laptop, you have to install that driver. So right now what we are doing, we are installing the driver for that VBox file system, that special file system which allows you to synchronize folders between Linux and Windows. And by the way, this long process we have to do for some people in case the mount is not working automatically, but in some cases it works. So I'm just taking the worst case scenario assuming, and I have, each time if I'm getting a new Windows laptop, pretty much I have to spend time. Sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't work. And so you can see right now that everything is installed. Next thing what I need to do is I need to create a folder called CD-ROM. Remember, we mounted the CD-ROM from there. So I just creating a folder here, and next thing I need to do is I have to mount the CD-ROM. Unlike Windows, there is no automatic mounting of CD-ROM here. So the moment I mount here, what I see here, you can see it's basically that content of the CD-ROM, and I can actually simply copy paste it, and that should be fine here. So next one is actually, this is the command which actually installs the VBox driver, and it asks me question, yes or no. Of course yes, and this time it will compile the kernel module and do the install, and it doesn't really take much time. So he's found the kernel, and this setup you do only once for a new laptop that you buy, or maybe you do a backup restore or something. Usually whenever I have getting a new laptop, then only I do. So you can see, you can follow the instruction. It pretty much says after that you will get this success message, and next thing you need to do is you need to reboot the Linux box, not the Windows box, because we are not actually installing anything on Windows. Installation thing we have already done when we installed VirtualBox, VS Code and Vagrant. And VirtualBox allows, because of VirtualBox now we are able to install a Linux using VirtualBox, and in the Linux now we are installing all kind of packages. So it's building the module right now, and after that we just have to modify the Vagrant file and reboot, and you can see how you'll be able to see the files on VS Code, how you will be able to see the file on the Linux side as well, and which makes life much easier, because a lot of times if you're doing a DevOps kind of work, most of the tool they don't work in Windows. They are all Linux native, because all this modern in past decade, the rise of DevOps has attributed because of all open source software. And for Windows, for a long time it was not very open source. It was mostly closed source operating system and tools, and recently they have changed, so they support both nowadays. So see, it is installed. I will just reboot it. And rebooting you can do many ways. You can do actually Vagrant halt from the Windows, you can do a shutdown -r now from the Linux, or you can actually restart from VirtualBox as well. So you can see from this console also, it gives you a nice GUI to see exactly if the machine is coming up. And see, this is my boot log, I can see. And I think it's just waiting 10-second network driver. I think it's up now. Yeah, looks like it's up. So I got the IP address, everything. So you should be able to connect right now. So to connect from this, I just have to type here Vagrant SSH and make sure you are inside that folder because it looks for the SSH private SSH key. So you type Vagrant SSH and you are in the folder, and you can see you can actually verify if the module has been installed or not. You can just inside the Linux you can copy paste it, and you can see the VBox guest this particular driver has been installed in Linux, so we are good. And next thing what we need to do is we need to modify the Vagrant file, because I want to mount a very specific folder, like any div folder, like your developer folder, anything you want to add. So this particular config item you have to modify, just uncomment it. And then the first argument is the path or relative path of the Windows folder. So for example, right now I want to mount the current directory, the full current directory to /vagrant data. And this /vagrant data will be available on the Linux side. And also you can actually modify the memory here. If you want to increase the memory, reduce the memory, but usually this will be a very lower footprint VM, so it doesn't need a lot of resources. It is only for installing tools and packages. So you can see basically I'm actually restarting it because in order to mount it, of course you can actually mount on the fly as well from the VirtualBox, but if I want to do it using Vagrant, and then I can actually modify this using this file. The beauty of why I'm insisting on Vagrant file, because you know what, if tomorrow you go to a new laptop, maybe you join a new company, you don't have to spend so much time. You can actually do everything on the Vagrant file. You take the Vagrant file, do Vagrant up, and you're done. So this type of setup, you do it once and it stays for you with long time, like even if you change the laptop. So this is the beauty of infrastructure as code, and HashiCorp is a kind of a leader in this market. They have a Terraform and many other kind of tool which actually allows you to have fully orchestration of cloud, or this is a very good for developer. So now this is done. So basically now I'm rebooting it. So I'm doing Vagrant up. So this time it will read the Vagrant file that I've added, and it will mount my local folder into /vagrant data. So you will soon after you will see the message that it is mounting. This is they call it sync, but it is actually a mount, VBox mount. So there I was talking about that if you have this kind of setup, see Vagrant. So /vagrant is mount to C drive owner, which is my local directory. So whatever you see on the /vagrant data on the Linux inside, that is the same as Windows. And you'll see how I'll create a test file, and that is how we test it. Okay, if whatever I create on Linux, I can see it on Windows. Whatever I create on Windows, I can see on Linux, and this makes my life very easy. And go to that folder, vagrant_data. Double tap to list everything, and see, if I do see, I can see the Vagrant file as the same Vagrant file which is in the Windows. And I'll create maybe a test file here just to test it, that what I create here is it being actually, because this is mounted, they are actually the same file, they are physically the same file on the disk. And if I do here list, and you can see the file is here. So this way you are able to set up the whole developer setup. Thank you.